Good evening and welcome to our first ESE Blended Cafe. Whether you are here with us live or via the internet streaming, we are so glad that you're here and hope that you will find this very beneficial. I am Debbie Anderson, the director of ESE, and with me is Deborah Ray, and she is the deputy director of ESE. Tonight, we would like to basically just introduce our program and let you know what our monthly cafe will be about. Tonight we'll go cover some very basic information when it comes to ESE and just kind of cover some household items as well as introducing you to a couple of very valuable community members that can help you with resources and to answer some questions for you. Next month, we are going to begin our focus on the MTSS process, which is the multi-tiered system of support, which is a system of interventions to help students of any students gain interventions and kind of work on that on the gen ed side of the house. Then we will also have student services here with us to talk about the evaluation process. And that's kind of just the start for our families. And so we wanted to begin there and explain to you how that works and what you can expect. Knowing that most of you have already been through that process, but we thought that this would help you and to kind of understand better of how your child is functioning and where they're at in that process. Then in December, we are going to start with our actual focused session where we will begin talking with you about very specific programs. On our website, you will be able to see each month and what program will be offered. During that time, the program facilitators will speak with you and kind of give you an update on what's happening in the program, cover some hot topics with you, give you resources. And as always, each month, whether you're here live or on the internet with us, you will be able to ask any questions of us or give input. That we believe strongly that that's how our programs grow, is to get input back from our parents and any community members. So on our website, there is a link there that you will fill out if you have a question that you would like to answer or ask, and hopefully we will be able to answer that for you. And all it does will be to ask your email and then type in your question. We need your email, so in case it is a question that we will need to research, then we'll be able to research that and give you an answer to it at a later date. All right, well, with that, let's take a quick look at our website. There are several features on our website that we wanted to let you know about. First of all is where you will actually go to be able to see the links of any resources that we are putting up tonight or discussing tonight. You will be able to go right there and click on it, and it will give you either those forms or give you the information in which we're talking about. So hopefully that will kind of be a self-sufficient area where you can go on your leisure time and take a look and gain some additional information on that. On our website, we also have a parent concern or comment box. And with that is a form that you will complete if you have any questions throughout the year, if you have any concerns, if you're experiencing any difficulties within your classroom or at your school. You can go there and complete that, and we will assign that to a case manager to help you to solve that problem and get it solved efficiently and effectively so that things will run smoothly for you. All right, with that, you are going to see a PowerPoint, and this PowerPoint will give you kind of our overall vision and our goals for having parent involvement. It is our belief that it is extremely important to have parent involvement and to actually create a safe mode for all of us to communicate with each other. Whether we're talking parents in school, the community, and the district office, we feel, and actually research has shown, that when we can all collaborate together for the good of our students, that everyone benefits from that. One of the most important areas of the benefit is for our students. Um, I guess maybe we're a little bit slow here. I'm talking faster than technology can keep up with us. But pretty soon that will come up. And our belief, though, is that every child has something that can contribute to the world. And we believe that it's really important for us in Santa Rosa County to ensure that we're working together to make sure that that is a goal that is met. Part of that is with our parent engagement, because we believe that not only should you be involved, but also engaged. We believe that that is an ongoing process and not something that is a program or a one-time event, but that it is actually something that we have to work at and create together. There's going to be ups and downs through that, but we hope that through our relationship we can make sure that that is as smooth as process as possible. We also believe that in collaborating between parents, schools, and district, that the goal of educating the whole child so that we can ensure that the highest possible means of success of student achievement and student growth is achieved. With family engagement, research actually shows that parent and family involvement significantly contributes to improve student outcomes. Just not relationships, but actually their academic and achievement will grow when the family and community and schools work together. So that's really important to us, that everyone is benefiting from that. Some of the things that research actually shows, that when everyone works together, that the achievement that our students gain are that they will get higher grades and test scores through parent involvement, that they can actually enroll in higher level programs. Students have higher motivation and self-esteem, increase attendance, they will have better social skills, show improved behavior, decrease the use of alcohol and drugs, adapt better to schools, and increase graduation rates. I think some of those are very typical, that we would expect those to happen, but even the areas such as better social skills for our students. That is one area that we see a great need, no matter what program or what services your child is receiving. That all of our students show that they have a need for better social emotional achievement in school. Now, for parents, what research actually shows is that when family participates in the education process, that participation is twice the predictor of student success than the family social economical status is. For more intense programs, that effect grows to 10 times the amount of predictor. It shows for parents that parents have a greater knowledge of the educational program and how school works, better knowledge of how to be more supportive of children, greater confidence in how children learn, more positive views of our children and the schools, and a greater empowerment. And that's something that in Santa Rosa is really important to us, is that our parents feel empowered. They are your children. We know that you give us your very best every day, and we don't take that lightly. Now, benefits for the school staff is that teachers and schools have greater teaching effectiveness, greater information of the overall child, higher expectations of students, increased ability to understand the family views and culture, and improve morale. And I think out of that, coming from being a former principal, I think that when a staff can have a better ability to understand the family and the values and culture of that family, it helps them to educate your child much better. Pathways to success. Effective processes assist parents in creating a home environment that fosters learning and provides support and educational encouragement to children for their success. And teachers and parents must be trained to promote effective parent-family engagement. That is not something that just happens. That to have that component be very effective, teachers as well as parents have to learn how to communicate with each other so that they can experience that success. All right, my fingers are slower now. So for us, our mission is to help provide opportunities for families to learn about ESE in the school setting, to provide opportunities for school staff to learn about how to effectively communicate with families. That communication, as we were talking before, has to go on both sides. The family has to be able to feel confident and comfortable in talking to the schools. And the schools need to better understand our families so that they can communicate with you more effectively. It is also important for us to identify and break down barriers that limits that communication and that collaboration. For example, just what is it that creates that barrier between home and school? If communication is not working well, then we need to figure out and problem solve. It's not about a blame game. It's about figuring out how we can communicate with each other and solve any issues that come up so that our students can become more successful. It's also about empowering our families to be part of the decision-making process. We don't want it just where, as parents, you sit and hear what the schools have to say. We want to empower you to give us that feedback also. That's really important if we're both going to work towards our end goal, and that is to making our students the most successful and independent as possible. All right, on our ESE website, we have our link right there. We will try to keep that very updated and be able to provide you with family activities. Some of the activities that we hope to achieve is we will be offering a SIB shop again. We offered it last year. It was very, very successful. I think it can be even more successful by having more families involved. And what the SIB shop is a chance for siblings of students who have ESE or exceptionalities to come together and to talk about and engage in activities together as siblings. We know with some of our families, some of their students are very, very involved, and it takes a lot of our parents' time and focus on them. And so this gives those siblings a chance to come together and talk through some of the feelings that they have. The people that lead our SIB shop are trained in that. And I know last year what we ended up seeing was that the siblings went away with a friendship of somebody that understands them at their level. And it was a great resource for them. So I encourage you, if you have siblings that would like to be involved in that, to look up on the website and gain that information and bring us your students. We would love to have them. Family cafes. We have kind of merged the family cafes. We started those last year where we hosted different cafes in the north and the south end, where all of our program facilitators who oversee our ESE programs came together to try to give information to parents. That was a mixed success. I think part of that was at the time we didn't prepare enough for maybe childcare, and also we realized that our families are extremely busy with working. So that is why we have kind of merged to the blended cafe, where you can join us in person or at home, where it may be more comfortable for you. You may have your own childcare there at home, and it may work better with your work hours. And then our ESE parent survey, we encourage you to fill that out for us every year when we do that, because that is something we use to progress monitor how we are doing in the district. All right. Well, with that, I am going to turn the floor over for a few minutes to Ms. Deborah Ray, who is our Deputy Director, and she is going to go over the organizational chart with you, and that will give you kind of a flow as to how our department works and who to contact if you have questions and concerns.
Good evening. We wanted to at least reference the department chart so that you all have some names that are connected with each of our programs. So I do have the opportunity to oversee all of the school liaisons, which you all, if you've been involved in an IEP meeting, you're all too familiar with that person who oversees or facilitates that process. So we will definitely go more in depth in our December blended cafe, where you can ask those questions about those expectations and important items that you may expect or want us to address in that IEP format. But for today, we'll just talk about each of their roles. So we have with our ESE school liaisons, we have a liaison assigned to every school. So on the south end, we have Nancy Blunt, who's at Hollywood Primary, and she also oversees the South End Pre-K within our district. We have Amanda Bobie, who's at Milton High School. She also facilitates for the SAIL, the Skill Site and Search program, which you'll hear more about with Linda Andrews this evening. Vicki Bolcha, who's at Berry Hill Elementary and Hobbs Middle School. Susan Copeland, who's at West Navarre Primary and West Navarre Intermediate. Jen Ellis, who's at Dixon Intermediate. She does the 3rd and 4th grade as well as Dixon Primary. Gail Freeman, who has Holly Navarre Middle as well as Holly Navarre Intermediate. Michelle Gibbs is at Navarre High School as well as Woodlawn Beach Middle. Kimberly Holland, she does the north end of our pre-K programs. Amanda Failing, who's at Avalon Middle School as well as P Ridge. Triola Josie Gold, who's at East Milton Elementary as well as King Middle School. Deidre Jackson, who's at Goldfries Elementary, Goldfries High. Shannon Kaiser, who's at Rhodes as well as Shamucka. Desi Lee, who has a number of schools assigned to him. He's got Central, 7 through 12, J High School, the Learning Academy, Santa Rosa Virtual, as well as Santa Rosa Adult and High and Laughlin. Rebecca Malloy is at Goldfries Middle and Oriole Beach Elementary. Wendy Peterson, who's at Sims, she does the 7th and 8th grade as well as Pace High School. Cindy Ryan, who's at J Elementary, she does Sims Middle School for 6th grade and Central K through 6 and Dixon Intermediate 5th grade. And Casey Stokes, who's at Baghdad and Benny Russell. We have 2 amazing paras that oversee and assist those ladies and gentlemen. We've got Kathy Reese, who's on the south end, and Miss Sandra Smith, who's the para on the north end. We have Steve Sutherland, who oversees the S4 component, which is our IEP program. And in the middle, Ms. Anderson oversees all of our program facilitators, and I won't dwell on each of their areas because they're all here to share that more specific information. We have Gary Mitchell, who oversees our hospital homebound OTPT as well as ESY. Ashley Flowers oversees our gifted program. Jackie Jones, our sensory impairment, she's got a number of areas that are under her as far as deaf and hard of hearing, the audiology clinic, dual sensory, assistive technology, traumatic brain injury, as well as the visually impaired. Elizabeth Toms, who comes to us new this year, she oversees our inclusion program, adaptive. She works very closely with Finn and Fiddlers, as well as our Section 504 plans. Linda Andrews oversees our transition program. She's got the interagency services, site skill and search, She also is our in-service rep as well as oversees the ESE survey, which Ms. Anderson mentioned as far as parent involvement in that survey as well. We've got Lisa Templeton, who is over our pre-K program. Bobby Joe Quaino oversees our speech and language services, as well as our contract services with SLPs. Ms. Tiffany Coleman, she is over our access programs, our eligibility testing, as well as the curriculum for that area. Kelly Dempsey is not here this evening, but you'll hear more about our CBSA program from Celeste Rivenbark, who also oversees our social thinking and our autism spectrum. So we've got Miss Alexis Cash, who is our ESE coordinator. She oversees the entire behavior program. So under her, she has both Nancy Virgilio, who does the K through 5, Maria Jacobs, who does our secondary, and as well as Ellen Balkan, who works closely with our Gen Ed counterparts in the MTSS process. Alexis Cash, and I know she will speak more specifically, but she also oversees the positive behavior intervention supports for the entire district. This gives you all phone numbers of everyone to contact. If we're not there in our phones with quite often we are in meetings with you all. You all have seen this as well. Our secretary's phone numbers are attached as well. So if you can't connect with one of us directly, our secretaries will be more than happy to take down. They take very detailed messages and make sure that we get that information to you in a timely manner. So this is a quick overview of what we represent each month. If you look for your particular area where your students, as far as their area of disability, you get to hear more involved details of the resources that are directly connected to their programs, even some agencies that can help you as well. On our website, we have bios, which and making that connection with one of our community partners, thought it would be very helpful for you all to have kind of like an overview of each of the people that you may see in those meetings, so it doesn't come across as being an intimidating process. And so you get a little bit of information, a fun blurb, so that you all can see who you all are speaking to. We really want us to be a resource for families. It should not be intimidating at all. I oversee the compliance side, so I know that there are compliance issues that we have to ensure, but we also want to make sure that you all have resources or have an understanding as to why we're meeting the compliance needs for your students. I know sometimes it doesn't go hand in hand as far as what the state is saying, but we want to ensure that we are compliant, but in that we want to make sure that we can support you and your student in that compliance process. So that's the overview of the flow chart. If y'all have any questions individually, you can contact those program people, or when they come and speak to you all this evening, you can ask those questions accordingly.
And we encourage you to take a look at the agenda that will be coming up, that agenda for each of the months. That way, if you want to tune in to all of them, that is great. We would love to have you. If you want very specific information about the program or programs that your child is in and you want to be able to give feedback, and that's another component of what this meeting is meant for, is we want your input and we want your feedback. So you will be able to see on the dark side over there all the different dates that we are scheduled for and who and what programs will be highlighted that month. So take a look on that. We encourage you to join us for all of them, but if you would like something very specific about your student's program, that's the night. So you can go ahead and get that on your calendar. All right, with that being said, we have some very special guests tonight. The first one that we would like to introduce to you is Miss Lynn Harris, who comes to us from Fiddlers and Fins and SEDNet. She is the district coordinator for those, and we are welcoming her because she is a great resource for our parents.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ms. Anderson. I'm so pleased to be with you guys tonight. thrilled that this is happening, that the Blended Cafe is happening, and I hope that we're able to join you for future events with other things that we have going on, because there's so much involved in all of the projects that I work with that we're not going to be able to do a lot of justice to everything tonight. But my purpose in being here is to explain to you who we are, how we're funded, what we do, how you can access our services, and then maybe get some feedback from you as time goes by as to the kind of trainings and supports that you need to be able to better assist your students. So at the end of our session today, the webmaster has told me she'll be glad to upload all of the things that I'm sharing with you this evening. So if it's not tonight, then shortly this week, you'll be able to go back to the website and download all the resources that I'm sharing with you tonight. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you that all 67 districts in the state of Florida are covered by our services. There are 19 different groups of us. Every group has a name, and our name is Fiddler's Emerald Coast. We encompass the Florida Diagnostic and Learning Resources System. We encompass Florida Inclusion Network, and we encompass the multi-agency network for students with severe and emotional behavioral disabilities, also known as SEDNet. So in our service region, we service Gandia County, Santa Rosa County, and Okaloosa County. We also, through SEDNet, serve Walton County, because that particular agency is divided up according to the county court systems, not according to the educational systems. So those 3 grants are all summarized here in this brochure that the webmaster will be posting for you. And when you look at it, you'll see our logos for Fiddlers, for Finn, and for SEDNet. When you open it up, it will give you on the left side the 4 functions of the Fiddlers Project. The 4 functions, the 4 reasons for our existence, is that the Florida Department of Education wants us to be able to help them find all the children that potentially would be in need of specialized services but are yet not in public school and not receiving those services. So that's called our Child Find Service, and many of you probably had a child come through and be identified with needs in the Child Find process. Our parent services component is much like this. We will go and talk to folks, we'll do consultation with folks, we do lots of training on behavior, on working with children with particular disabilities or particular needs. It's completely driven by what families tell us their needs are. So when I get to the needs assessment piece at the end of my presentation, that'll be very important for you to do, because that's how we write our grants every year. That's how we know what the needs are, and that's how we write to address those needs. Our human resource specialists, our trainers, if you would, do the same thing for teachers. Everything we do is data driven. Districts participate in managing our process through a vehicle called the Coordinating Council. And the Coordinating Council is made up of ESE directors in all of our school districts, a member of the Department of School Health, and the Fiddlers Manager. We all sit together and we look at data. We look at how well districts are achieving, where districts have initiatives, what kinds of things parents are telling us that they need, what kinds of things teachers tell us they need. And we put all of that together and we look at it together as a group, because the Coordinating Council is responsible for the wise use of your funds. We're taxpayer supported. And so we make sure we have no duplicated services. We make sure that what we do is effective and efficiently planned out. So that's essentially the same thing done once for parents and done once for teachers. And then we have a specialized technology feature where a child who may need a very special kind of equipment or a very special kind of software would work with our technology specialist and some local people in your district to determine what is the best thing to meet that child's need. Is it a very sophisticated piece of technology or a very simple piece of technology? Assistive and adaptive technologies don't always have to be the things people think of, like computers and iPads and things like that. Most of the time, that's not actually necessary in order to access curriculum and participate in the Gen Ed program. On the other side of that brochure, you'll see Florida Inclusion Network. And essentially, in a nutshell, Florida Inclusion Network exists to make sure that the same social, educational, and future opportunities that exist for all of us also exist for our students with disabilities. So that, in a nutshell, is what FIN, Florida Inclusion Network does. And then the SEDNet grant works very, very closely with school districts and the juvenile justice court system to ensure that there's a very encompassing system of care for children that exhibit particular emotional and behavioral disabilities. That is their primary focus, is emotional and behavioral disabilities. So you'll be able to download this when the webmaster gets it up later this week. And on the back of it, I bring that to your attention again because this is very important information, our phone numbers, our email addresses. You can contact us directly. We are a support agency. If you ever have any questions or concerns, you're not sure who to talk to about something, you're not sure how to approach a school or a problem, you're welcome to call us because we're like Switzerland. And we exist to be somebody that you can confide in and talk to and get assistance from and then go forth with whatever your need might be. Now, I have a couple of other things I want to share with you. One is a parent webinar series that's coming up. I do these. There's 5 different versions of the parent webinar. The first one starts this coming Monday, and it's on understanding the world of ESE. These are currently set up to be what I call lunch and learns. So you can plug in at your computer at the office. All you have to do is have a computer that plays sound and connects to the internet. That's it. And then for 30 minutes, we'll talk about law, we'll talk about ESE, we'll talk about what it means. If you come to the second one, we talk about IEPs. What does that mean? What is your role in it? Who comes to the IEPs? We talk a little bit about EPs for gifted students as well. And on the third section, we'll talk about instructional practices. What's so special about special education? What kind of things should you be seeing in classrooms? What kind of things will you be encountering when your child receives specialized services? The fourth section is on connecting families with agencies and other resources like Fiddlers and SEDNet, CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, many different agencies in town, and then a little section at the end on family and school partnerships, because as Mrs. Anderson indicated, that's where it's all at. That's what everybody wants, a very positive working relationship, all geared toward the benefit of the child. Everybody's in this for that, what's best for the child. And to that end, the state of Florida has purchased for all families of children who have an IEP, an individualized education plan, a subscription to something called LRP Special Ed Connection. It's an excellent website, and it's free to you. The state of Florida pays for it if you are a parent of a child with an IEP. You access this free subscription by going through me. All the Fiddler Center managers in Florida provide these links for families. And what I'm going to need from you, if you want this kind of information, is an email from you that says, here's my name, here's the date of birth of my child, and I'd like to get one of those free subscriptions to LRP. That's all I need. Okay? And then I will forward that to LRP Corporation with your email address, and then they will be in touch with you about how to access those services. The very last thing I want to share with you, also from the Florida Department of Ed, is a wonderful book. If you're brand new to the world of special education, this is a great resource for you to have. It is on the DOE website. We also have several bound copies of it. It looks just like this. It's called A Parent's Introduction to Exceptional Student Education in Florida. It is from soup to nuts, everything you'd ever want or need to know. And as part of this, we encourage you to get something like a 3-ring binder and start keeping all of your paperwork and all of your IEPs and things like that in that binder. A lot of this information right here will tell you exactly how to do that. We can also do a little workshop with you if that's of interest to families. And the last thing I want to share with you is that we will have posted on the webmaster's website, probably in December, a link to our needs assessment. When we write our projects and our grants every year, we do it based on data. And a lot of the data will come from you. What is it that you need that will help you to help your child in school? So when you go to the website or when you get an email blast or some information like that from your district that says the Fiddler's needs assessment is live, that's different from the one that the state of Florida puts out. So 2 different things, and we would very much appreciate that if you would fill that out as well. So thank you so much for your time this evening.
Let's see if we have any questions for you. Does the audience or our live audience have any questions for Ms. Harris? We did have one question come in. It's really not for you, but
Okay.
while we're waiting on them to think about their questions, is where can I download the presentation? And I believe you can do that on our website, correct? Right.
And then you scroll down.
Yes.
And all of those buttons. And then it goes.
Okay. So all of that's able to be downloaded. All right. Any other questions before we move on?
There will be, I see there's a question coming up. Hang on just one second. There will be a link, a sheet of links that the webmaster will also post so that you will be able to connect to several other resources that we have as well.
And we have a question, a couple of them.
I just didn't quite catch the name of the book that you were showing.
It's called A Parent's Introduction to Exceptional Student Education, and I have several of these in the back if anybody here tonight would like one, and I'll be glad to give this one to you.
We have another one.
Your name was Lynn.
Lynn, Lyn, Harris,
I'm
Harri.
looking at the org chart. I was trying to find.
I'm not on the org chart.
Okay.
I'm an agency.
So how
I'm
do we
based in
get your
Escambia
contact
County,
information?
and I'll give you my contact information right now. Do you have a pencil? All right, my email address is lharris, Harris, at escambia.k12.fl.us. Okay, and my phone number, 850-469-5423. That gets you to a wonderful person named Wanda Bell, and she always knows where I am.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Lynn works very much in conjunction with our department. She's not part of our department, but she should be. I mean, we work that close together, and especially when it comes to professional development, getting parent workshops out there. She works very closely with the Tri-County, ourselves, Okaloosa, and Escambia. All right, thank you, Lynn. We appreciate
you.
that. And
Appreciate
parents,
you
I would
too.
like to encourage you to participate and take advantage of the LRE newsletter that you can get for free. They have great information and a lot of resources on that. All right, next up we have Miss Kendra Boo, and she is joining us tonight from the Emerald Coast Exceptional Families. And she is also a great resource. She has worked with us on some development of some different letters for parents and help us to make sure that when we communicate in writing to parents that we are parent friendly. As you know, ESE has a lot of initials and acronyms, and she helps us to make sure that we put it in words that everybody can understand what it is, the message we're trying to get out. So welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. I really appreciate the ESE department inviting us to be here this evening. Like Ms. Anderson said, I'm with Emerald Coast Exceptional Families, and we are a local organization. We've been active for about 8 months, and we are a group of parents, community members, and educators. Out of our board, 3 of us are educators. I used to work in Santa Rosa County as a teacher, and I taught many ESE students. And our whole mission is very simple. We want to connect and support our special needs families through events and education. We believe that we all learn from each other. We learn from different diagnoses. We learn from different teachers. We learn everything from each other. And so we want to make sure that we help to make those connections, because sometimes special needs families are very isolated. And I can say that because I'm also an autism mom. And for a long time, we didn't leave our house. And so we want to make sure that parents and families know that they are welcome and that they are supported. One of the focuses that we have is parent support. It is extremely difficult when you have this brand new child and you love them and you have all of these wishes and dreams, and then you realize that something is different and you are a little lost. And so we want to make sure that you know that you are not alone. We do things such as mom's events. We've had a mom pamper party. We go and have coffee. We have dinner. We will do one-on-one meetings. If you have something that's really troubling you and you just need somebody to talk to, we do that. And we try to share info, just things that come across. We are constantly online looking for new resources, looking for new information, such as fiddlers. We share fiddlers information all of the time. One of the other things that we love to do is our fun events. It is difficult sometimes when you take your special needs child out to a community event and you are a little overwhelmed and it's maybe not sensory friendly and it's a little much. So we do fun events. If we have this Saturday, we have our special needs trunk or treat coming up. It is all special needs families in a safe, understanding environment. We have changing facilities and handicap accessible restrooms, which I know in community events is often very difficult to find. We also have a play date coming up in a fenced, safe environment with changing facilities available. And we try to do things like this about once a month, just a chance for families to get together and connect and have fun and just relax a little bit. We also have on our calendar coming up this year a Happy Noon Year party. We're going to celebrate Noon Year's Special Needs Way at noon so that we can all go home and be in our jammies by 7 o'clock. We really believe that parents of special needs children need more education than any other parent out there. And when you are dealing with a diagnosis and you get started and you go to the Googles, you don't always get the best information. And so we really try to provide information that parents need and that parents want that help you help your child. We've had workshops on IEPs, understanding the IEP process. It's, like Ms. Anderson said, it's a whole new language that you have to learn as a special needs parent. We have done the organization workshop on what do I do with all this paperwork and how to organize it. And I finally finished my personal binder right before the hurricanes. We were lucky enough to have Laura Brumfield, who is the CBSA for, not CBSA, sorry, Laura, DCBA for Santa Rosa County Schools. She came and did a workshop with us with our parents on behavior management. And we have had another workshop on family and school communication because that is the founding building block for your child. If you don't have good communication with your schools, they're not going to be as successful as they can be. And then probably one of the most important things we do is work to build positive family and school relations. We have been lucky enough that Ms. Anderson, Ms. Ray, and the rest of the ESE department have really embraced what we're trying to do. And like Ms. Anderson said, I've been able to help collaborate a little bit and put it in parent terms so that we understand everything that's coming home. We like to attend, such as tonight, all of the Santa Rosa County ESE events that we can. We are parents and educators, so we don't always have the time, but we try really hard. We attend meetings, and we love to share positive things that are happening in our schools. Teachers that are doing amazing work with our children, or principals that are doing something really fun, or anything that's just positive and helps build that relationship. Another focus that we have every Tuesday on our Facebook page and on our website, we have Tuesday tips. And all of our Tuesday tips are tips for school success. Right now we're focusing on homework because homework for a lot of our children, especially mine, is a very challenging time. And so we try to share information that come from our educators, that come from our parent experience, that we can help you help your child to be successful. If you want more information about what we do, I do have rack cards and information next door this evening. You can also go to our website, very simple, EmeraldCoastExceptionalFamilies.org, or you can find us on Facebook. We're on there quite a bit. But we are here for you. We are here to support our families and to help build those relationships. So, does anybody have any questions? I guess I talked too much.
No,
I told them everything, so.
no. Well, I can tell you, we appreciate you being involved.
Do you provide information as well on kids with ID, intellectual difficulties?
We don't really provide information as much as we provide support. So one of the things that I tell people is my son was diagnosed with autism, but when we were going through the diagnosis process and I was dealing with all of those emotions and learning this new life that I was going to be leading, I learned the most from my friends whose children have Down syndrome. And so that's one of the reasons that we serve all special needs families, is because we really feel like you learn just as much from an autism mom as you do an ID mom, as you do from an ADHD mom. to a Down syndrome family. It doesn't matter. We're all kind of in this together, and we're all dealing with a child who is different. And so you are more than welcome to join us for anything that we do.
All right, any other questions? All right, at this time, we really appreciate you coming, Kendra, and being a part of this. I think that it helps our families to be able to see what type of resources are out there. And again, parents, I really encourage you, if you have comments just like that, like maybe you would like some additional training if your student is have an intellectual disability, then those are things that we can start looking at through that needs assessment and see how we can help with that. All right, at this time, we are going to have Miss Ray and Miss Cash come up. Miss Cash is the coordinator for ESE. And as you know, Miss Ray is our deputy director. And they are going to introduce to you the people that help us to oversee each of our programs that we have. As you can see from the organizational chart, we have a lot of different programs in our district to serve our students. And from how it flows, the program facilitators work with the teachers and the families and the students in those programs to help ensure that we're meeting their needs. So at this time, Ms. Alexis, welcome.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me. What we're going to be looking at is the ESE, or the Exceptional Student Education classrooms, the descriptors that we do have here. The first ones that we're going to be looking at is our most restrictive, and then go to that least restrictive area. If you go to the website, this PowerPoint or Sway is right there for you to download so that you can follow along with me. The first one that we have is what we call our orthopedic impairment classroom. And typically what that is it includes our students with the most significant physical, medical, communication, cognitive, and social deficits. The age ranges is really from pre-K to 12, and we go all the way up to that 21 years of age with transition. As you can see in those classroom descriptions, we look at eligibilities associated with that. And it obviously is not just one in particular, but it is a combination of certain eligibilities that within that. So you might have orthopedically impaired, autism, language impairment, intellectual disability, developmental delay, and that's with our pre-K population, and occupational and physical therapy. Ratios. I'm very proud to say that Santa Rosa keeps a very solid small group ratio for our students with those level of needs. And you can see that really across the board. Right now with those students, with 4 students, we look at a teacher and a paraprofessional being within that classroom for the safety, especially with our wheelchairs. And then also with 7 students, we're looking at a teacher and 2 paraprofessionals, and we keep a 3-to-1 ratio at all times. What that means is for every 3 students, we have at least 1 adult with them. Okay. Standardized testing, they do take the alternate assessment for Florida, and we do have modified curriculum. I'm not going to go too much into that because that is, as we go through this monthly, those program facilitators are going to talk extensively about the curriculum that is being taught within those classrooms. Progress monitoring. Those students are progress monitored with what we call a VB map, and it's really based on those communication skills. Finding a way for those students to communicate, whether it's with assistive technology devices, with manding, that is something that is important. And we also utilize the CAPS notebook. A lot of supplemental services are involved as well with our occupational and physical therapists, speech and language therapists, as well as orientation and mobility. So those are all things that you can see, as well as vision, deaf and hard of hearing, and nursing services. A lot of our orthopedically impaired classrooms do have a nurse full-time within that classroom. The program facilitator, if your student is participating in one of these classrooms, it would be Kelly Dempsey and or Lisa Templeton, and Lisa Templeton is involved with our pre-K. So they will be up here very soon. Our next classroom that we want to look at is what we call our communication, behavior, social, and academic classroom. Okay, the primary is that communication component. With the communication classroom, really those descriptors is instead of that physical impairment, is we look at the communication, the behavior, social, and cognitive deficits. Again, it is not just one eligibility that we look at in regards to that. So you might have a student with intellectual disability, other health impairment, autism, language impairment. Also, those physical therapy might be involved, and developmental delay in regards to pre-K. The ratio is at 4 students with a teacher and paraprofessional, and 7 students with a teacher and 2 paraprofessionals. So again, we keep that 3-to-1 ratio for the intensity of what those needs of those students are. Standardized testing and curriculum is very similar to our orthopedically impaired classrooms, and again, it's honing in on those supplemental services with speech and language pathologists, our OTs, and our PTs, deaf, hard of hearing, and vision. Again, same program facilitators would be Kelly Dempsey and Lisa Templeton with those students. Our next classroom that I want to discuss is our social thinking classroom. This is a very unique classroom. There's 2 types of our social thinking classroom. There's an access and also an FSA. Our access classroom is really looking at the students of social thinking access. They will take the alternate assessment, but it includes students with very significant social and cognitive deficits. Okay, so there might be that cognitive ability in the classrooms where there needs to be that modified curriculum. So they would be involved in that classroom. Eligibilities typically associated with the classroom is ASD in conjunction with language impairment, other health impairment, occupational and physical therapy, and possibly the intellectual disability. Again, in this, we keep a ratio of a 3-to-1 because of those intensities of the students and what we are trying to have them progress through.
Alexis, can you take a moment and tell them what access is?
Yes, ma'am. Our access is our modified curriculum. It's when they take the Florida alternate assessment. With that, it's based on a significant cognitive disability, and there's typically a IPT will go through that to look at whether that student has a significant cognitive disability and whether that curriculum needs to be modified. In regards to that classroom, our program facilitator is Celeste Rivenbark, and we do obviously utilize occupational therapy and speech and language therapy within those classrooms. There's a lot of heavy assistive technology devices that is utilized in all 3 of these classrooms. Okay, our next classroom is our access classroom. Again, that is a classroom for modified curriculum where they are taking the alternate assessment for Florida. With the definition of that, it is students that do have a significant cognitive deficit. Eligibilities associated would be ASD, other health impairment, occupational physical therapy, intellectual disabilities, and developmental delay for pre-K. We always involve those supplemental services. And again, Tiffany Coleman is our program facilitator. She will definitely be talking about more of those modifications within those classrooms, as well as the curriculum associated with it. Lisa Templeton for pre-K. I think she's in all of these. Okay, our next one. Social thinking classroom with our FSA. That is students that have those social deficits but do not have significant cognitive disabilities. You will see that the ratio with that significant cognitive, with those significant social deficits is a little bit higher. We have that 11-to-3 ratio. So typically our students, there's 11 students within each classroom with 1 teacher and 2 paraprofessionals. They have average to above average intelligence, and you'll see that definitely in those classrooms. But those social deficits and those social needs are primary for those students. They will take the same standardized testing as a general education student with the FSA. We do supplemental iReady program with our math and reading and progress monitoring. We utilized DEA testing last year. This year it is Unify. That has changed from this year, and they utilize the same general education curriculum as any other general education student. We utilize speech and language therapy within that, and Celeste Rivenbark and Laura Brumfield is the contact for our social thinking FSA. Behavior-focused classrooms. Our behavior-focused classrooms are for our most intense students with behavioral deficits with average to above average intelligence. With those ratios, we do keep a 3-to-1 ratio at the elementary level. There's no more than 9 students within a classroom, a behavior-focused classroom, and what we also utilize is positive behavior supports. With those positive behavior supports, every unit that is in Santa Rosa County, the whole school utilizes those positive behavior supports within the school setting. Definitely looking at zones of regulation, emotional regulation skills, and social skills for those students. They are still on the general education standards. We utilize iReady as well for those students and Unify. So they're held to the same level of general education expectations as all other students. There might be speech and language therapy, and we have that broken up into 3 program facilitators. Elementary is Nancy Virgilio, secondary is Maria Jacobs, and newly we added Ellen Bauckham this year for our MTSS on that general education side of the house with our Tier 3 students. And lastly is our inclusion supports. Our inclusion supports are our least restrictive right before we do consultation and accommodations. With our inclusionary supports, it is a combination of all students with an individual education plan who need support within the general education curriculum. Those eligibilities, any eligibility could be associated with those inclusionary supports. OHI, specific learning disability, emotional behavior disability, intellectual disability as well, speech and language. So again, this can be a wide range of supports for those students. The ratio that we look at for primary, obviously at the younger age, there's more supports that are needed. So we look at 1 adult per 5 students at that K through 2 level. Elementary is 1 to 8, which is more that 3rd through 5th. Middle is 1 to 10, and high school is 1 to 12. Again, that gives the support for those students within those classrooms to ensure that they're getting the general education curriculum that is needed. They will take the standardized testing of Florida state assessments. Progress monitoring, again, we did utilize DEA last year. This year is Unified that we use. And then there also might be speech and language therapy associated with that. Elizabeth Thompson is our program facilitator, and she will come up and have more conversation in regards to her program as well. At this time, that's right now, that's the rubric of how we utilize those staffings to ensure that every student does have those services needed for them. And that concludes our ESE descriptions.
And actually, we have one additional program in ESE that we oversee, even though it is technically on the general education side of the house, and that would be our gifted program. In our department, we do oversee and grow that program as well, and we have a wonderful program facilitator. Miss Ashley Flowers is the program facilitator for that program. That program is a supplementary, so it's not where our students are in a classroom all day with the gifted. They're supplementary. We have had a couple of new people join us this year with gifted to be able to provide services to our secondary students, and to also kind of reach outside that box and try some new activities with them. If you have a student or a child that is on in the gifted program, look at our agenda and join us on that night, and Ashley will go over some really neat new things that we are reaching out and trying to do with that population. All right.
Any questions?
Any questions? Okay. Oh, we have 2. I'll wait.
I
We
have
have
a
2.
minor question. I'm sorry. Why do you guys not have a specific classroom for gifted children?
There's different models that we work with gifted programs, and Ashley may, be able to answer this also for you. But as of right now, we do have where that could be a possibility at the school level. It's kind of a school-based decision, but typically it's a supplementary type of program is the way that our district has historically opted to use that. There's research to kind of support both sides of that, as to whether it is a positive thing to have a self-contained, but to kind of go along with the state of Florida, they're heavily involved in inclusion right now across the board. And that's where we're kind of guided. So we look at that with all of our programs. That is why we have kind of reached down, especially I would say at the secondary level right now, because that's been an area that has not been focused on a lot, and offering different unique opportunities at that particular level. So we've kind of tried to spread it out in the last couple of years, where we have the Flight Academy that is offered with some of our younger ones, and then now we're reaching out with the second and trying to grow that program.
And just to clarify a little bit on that, we do have pull-out programs for our elementary school students. They come out of the general education classroom into a gifted education classroom 1 day a week. So we do still have that time where they're just with their gifted peers.
Okay, so it's all put together. not just
Right,
one.
right,
So it'd be like a resource classroom.
Correct. correct. Yeah.
And the question that came up, I don't know if everyone at home could hear Ashley's response, is we do at the elementary level have 1 day a week where the students all get together and they work on their projects and work on their curriculum together, so that they have that experience of being with like minds. And then we have a second question.
So where are the schools for some of these, like the programs for the social thinking or others? Is there a specific school that those happen at, is one question. And then the follow-up question is, what if your student is in one program and you don't feel like it's the right program? How do you transition them through?
Okay,
How do you
great
find the
question.
right program?
The first question was, where are the different programs located within our district? For example, social thinking. We take a look every year at what we call projections, okay? And that usually starts in February. We gather all of our data for the number of students that we have, where they're located, and then the decisions are made based upon the needs of the district. We don't have enough to place each program at each and every single school, so we kind of do it based upon where the highest numbers are within the projections. And then we also, right now in Santa Rosa, have to take a look and consider heavily available space.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, right now Santa Rosa County has a very high population, and our schools are running out of classrooms. So we also have to take a look at that when we make the decision. So we take a look at the information in-house, and then we get with our principals and look at who has the space and is how centrally located we can make that for our students. So that's how that decision is based. When it comes to what happens, your second question, what happens if your child is in a particular classroom or program and you as a parent feels like that might not be the best situation for them, then we go back to the IEP team. And that IEP team will take a look at the data, take a look at what you as a parent, what the reasons are, and then take a look at what other options are out there for us, okay? And so we kind of look at those on a one-to-one basis, on an individual basis, but those decisions are all based in the IEP team decision. And I think we have another question coming in. Okay, and the question is, please elaborate on the social thinking classes. Yeah, we'll let Alexis go with that.
I know Celeste Ravenbark and Laura Brumfield will be up here to describe that more intensely as far as what are the dynamics of that classroom. But typically, it is looking at a student who is exhibiting significant social and possibly communication deficits. And again, there are two components to it. We have our social thinking access, which we definitely see, the social component, but there's also that significant cognitive disability. So there will be modified curriculum. On the other end is we have our social thinking FSA classroom where there is the average and above average intelligence, but it's a different way. It's that looking at that sensory component that is needed, looking at assistive technology, giving them that intense help with when a social situation happens, that we know how to walk them through that, be able to discuss that and teach that skill set to them.
And I think that particular program, or the way that that model was developed, was because we saw a need, in addition to the programs that we had, to meet the student social emotional needs. And I think even still we see that across all programs, and even with our students in the gifted programs, we see that they also have some social emotional issues that is unique to them. And so those are areas in which we are developing and trying to meet those needs.
How many of the elementary schools don't have a day for the gifted classes?
We currently have, she was asking how many schools don't have a gifted program. We service all of the schools. Currently, Jay and Central do not have a person going to the school, but we are going to be busing those students to a school to receive services. So we service all of our students.
What about East Milton?
East Milton has a program.
They
Yes,
have
ma'am.
one now?
Yes, ma'am. She was there today. Yes.
The question was how many of our schools service our gifted population, and we serve every student that is eligible for the program. We serve them no matter what school that they're at. We have somebody for them. The only two locations that we don't have somebody assigned specifically to those schools is J and Central, and that's because of the number of students that they have. And so those students are bused to a central location where we can provide a staff member to do that. We are also looking at, just since the gifted has come up, we have also started doing a universal screener for gifted. We piloted that last year at second grade. And so now every second grade student will be going through the screening. It's just a universal screener that kind of gives us some additional information about all second grade students and whether they would meet the eligibility for it. It is not the actual eligibility criteria, but it's the screener that says, yes, they have some characteristics and some academic needs that may be met through that program. If you have a child in second grade, you will have already have received a letter that went home giving you the option to opt out of that screener if you choose not to have your student participate in it. But otherwise, we do it now this year at all schools at second grade.
Was that just started this year?
Yes.
It was started for all schools this year. We did a pilot last year to see how it would work and how to get the staff involved and how just the demographics, the housekeeping part of how do you screen every second grader at your school. Because we have some schools like the primaries that have heavy, large numbers of second grade students. So we kind of worked the kinks, I wouldn't say all the way out, but we kind of did it to get our ideas of what those kinks would be. And so this year it's across the board, all second graders, unless the parents choose to opt out of that.
If you have a student who has been, who is past second grade at this point, but you are interested in participating in the screening process, you can simply reach out to your school's guidance counselor and they can administer a screener individually to your child, and then they can go through the eligibility process that way.
What if they're already in one of the programs?
That's okay. We have twice exceptional students that we see all the time. There's a lot of correlation between some of our social thinking kiddos and our gifted kiddos. We also have kids that participate in speech and language services and receive gifted services. So we call those students twice exceptional. And we do see that quite a bit in our program.
Question.
If my second grader has already been deemed gifted, would I still receive this letter? Because I've not received a letter yet, so I'm just kind of curious.
Yes, if your child is already found eligible for gifted, they would still receive the letter home from their school. We're going through November with the universal screener, so it may not have come to you yet. However, I have told parents if they're already in the program, there's not necessarily a reason unless you're just curious for your child to participate. Any other questions?
All right, thank you. Then we'll move on. At this point, we have built into our schedule a 10-minute break, but we are kind of running a little bit behind. So to keep you on task, we will just go ahead if it's all right with you and continue with it so we get everybody finished as close to time as possible. Those of you that are here, if you need a break, please feel free to do that. We have a room next door to us that has some drinks and some snacks if you are hungry. All right, so at this time, we are going to ask, I guess, someone that I've lost right now, Miss Ray. Oh, sorry, she's hiding. I just evidently cannot see. She's hiding in the corner. Ask her to come on up. And we are going to go over very briefly. We're going to go over and introduce you to our program facilitators, let you be able to put a face and a name together and give you that little bit of just a brief 30 seconds to a minute of over their programs. And then as you can see, we will go back to that on the month in which they will be presenting to you for any in-depth types of questions. All right, Ms. Ray, you are on.
Absolutely. We have Mr. Gary Mitchell. You want to come up here? All right. Sit in my chair.
It's kind of like Miss America pageant.
My name is Gary Mitchell, and for the past 9 years, I've been the program facilitator for ancillary services, which, running joke, well, used to be what nobody else wanted. But I have the pleasure of overseeing the hospital homebound program. That's for students who have a medical need where they're going to have to be out of school for an extended period of time, and we provide service for those kids in the home. I also oversee the occupational physical therapist for our students who find motor skills, gross motor skills that may impact their learning in some way. And then over the summer, I coordinate the ESE program, which is the extended school year for students that meet the criteria for maintaining those skills that they've learned during the school year that may not be able to do that over the long summer break. It's not really learning any new skills, it's just maintaining those. And as I said before, on specific nights when we'll have another chance to talk, we'll go into detail about each of those programs and some of the criteria in order to fit those students that fit those. Okay, thank you.
We also have Ms. Celeste Rivenbark. She oversees our social thinking classroom as well as her, we call her sidekick, Miss Laura Brunko, who's our BCBA. Ms. Celeste.
Okay, I'm Celeste Rivenbark. I oversee the programs for autism spectrum disorder. So, like Ms. Ray said, I oversee specifically our social thinking classroom. So I know you had some questions about social thinking. I'll give you guys my contact information. You're more than welcome to contact me that way. But also in April, we'll be going through, the two of us together, my partner in crime, Laura Brumfield. We'll be going over our social thinking because we're really excited. Those are brand new units, came 3 years ago to our district. We started with one. King Middle School was our first school. Now we're at 14. So we're growing, and just like they talked about, same principle, if you have a child that's in a particular school that does not have a social thinking classroom, if the IEP team comes together and we decide that that's the type of program that would best fit the needs of your child, then as a team we would look at that, make that decision, and we would out of zone them. So that means we would provide transportation for those classrooms. And we have 14, they're on the north end and the south end. We have them available elementary, middle, and high. So that way, if a student does continue to have that need from elementary to middle, middle to high, we have those support services available across the continuum. Okay, and then on the website, we'll what are the social thinking programs? Like where are they at? Or okay, where are they? So currently we have 14. We have Baghdad Elementary. Help me out. Baghdad Elementary has 2 units. We have K to 2 and a 3 to 5. Then we have Dixon Intermediate has a 3rd through 5th. We have West Navarre Intermediate, 3rd through 5th. West Navarre Primary, K to 2. We have King Middle School. King Middle School has social thinking access classroom, a social thinking FSA classroom. We have Woodlawn Beach that has 2 units. They house a 6th grade unit and a 7th and 8th grade unit. Avalon Middle School, 2 units. We have a 6th grade unit, a 7th and 8th grade unit.
Woodlawn Beach.
Okay, I thought I said Woodlawn, did I? No. Woodlawn Beach, 6th grade unit, 7th and 8th grade unit.
High schools.
And then Milton High School. Milton High School houses 2 units. They have an access classroom and an FSA classroom. Then we have Navarre High School. Navarre High School has an FSA classroom. So, like Miss Anderson shared and Alexis, we have programs for autism across the board. So everything that Alexis went over, we have students with autism served in all of those. Social thinking is just one of the different programs we have available for students on the autism spectrum. Did I miss any other classes?
You did awesome.
Oh, thanks. Okay, and then also I am going to cover CBSA, which stands for Communication, Behavior, Social, Academic Classrooms. Alexis spoke to those just a little bit. We're having a change in program facilitator. At the current time, it's Kelly Dempsey, but Kelly will be going back to the classroom, so we'll have a new program facilitator that will take that lead. But for the point in time, I'll be the contact. So when I share that at the end, you can contact me with questions in regards to social thinking, but also CBSA. CBSA serves our students with significant communication delays, as Alexis spoke to. We currently have 42 K to 12 units, and then we have 15 pre-K CBSA. So there's quite a few CBSA classrooms. Most of our schools have those available. There's very few that do not. Anything else? Okay. Contact information. So if you'd like to call me, you can reach me at the office. Area code 850-983-5578. And then my email is rivenbark, RIVENBARKC at santarosa.k12.fl.us. Any questions? Did I cover the question that came through? Questions, social thinking, CBSA?
I had a quick question earlier. What is the main difference between orthopedic impaired and CBSA?
Okay, so orthopedically impaired will service our students with significant physical needs most of the time. The classrooms are set up very much alike. They serve the students with both of them have students with communication, but what Alexis talked about with nursing services, OT, PT, a lot of specialized training like MOVE or that kind of thing, is available in our OI access classrooms. So they really serve and are set up a lot alike. They have the same student to teacher ratio, but they really focus on not just that communication, but that physical side of it. How can they, move and position in order to access their education, that kind of thing. So our teachers go through specialized training that enables them to better position and set up the classrooms. The classrooms may be set up just a little bit differently with more space because a lot of those kids have quite a bit of equipment. So they have walkers, standers, specialized chairs, those kind of things. So, the actual setup may be a little bit different, so there's space and that kind of thing, but the focus and the curriculums and that kind of thing remain the same at CVSA and OI Access. Any other
Additional
questions?
Is it my turn?
Sure. Elaborate, Miss Laura.
Okay, I was gonna
Exactly
wrap
what
my
you do.
introduction, but that got squashed by Celeste Ravenbark. I couldn't do
Sorry.
it. But I'm Laura Brumfield. I'm the board certified behavior analyst for the school district. And one other thing, one of my favorite quotes is, education is all about, yeah, I forgot it. And it's my favorite quote. Education is about building bridges. And I think that that's what I want to do, and that's my focus in the ESE department in Santa Rosa County, and I welcome any questions.
While Laura switches out, we'll have our behavior teams here represented, and the whole purpose of today is really giving you all a glimpse of the supports, because we know how overwhelming it is to walk into that IEP meeting. I've been in as many as 5 to even 16 people that are there throughout that process, but it is there as a means for support. So you have our friendly faces there, and we consider every one of our program facilitators as experts in their field. So they're there to bridge that communication, your understanding of their programs, your students within their areas of disability, so that you have go-to and that connection to ask more specific questions. Okay, so I'm joined now by Maria Jacobs as well as Ellen Bonham. So Maria is our representative on the secondary aspect of our behavior-focused classroom. So I'll allow Maria to introduce herself, and she's new to our district this year.
Absolutely, thank you. My name is Maria Jacobs, and I am the program facilitator for behavior for middle school and high school. And I am also speaking on behalf of Nancy Virgilio, who is the program facilitator for elementary. She could not be here tonight. And so both of us, our job as program facilitators for behavior, we work closely with the schools. We collaborate with the teachers, provide consultative services for behavioral interventions. And so our focus is to really work with those multi-tiered level supports in collaboration with our MTSS coordinators, and really try to focus on social skills trainings and coping mechanisms, coping skills in the classroom. And so we work closely with our, Ms. Cash mentioned earlier, the behavior focused classrooms, and we also assist in really trying to make sure that those teachers have support as well as interventions to utilize in the classroom. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be in Santa Rosa County.
She comes new to us this year and is really a key asset with our MTSS process and bridging that learning of understanding of behavior throughout the district. So, Ms. Balkin.
Good evening. I'm Ellen Bacham. I'm the program facilitator for MTSS, which is the multi-tiered system of support for behavior for elementary schools. And what that means is I get to push into the general education classrooms and really get to work with the general education teachers when it comes to behaviors in those classrooms. So these may be students that have IEPs, that don't have IEPs, that are really struggling in the classroom. And I get to work with the teachers, making sure that we're selecting the right interventions to help them be successful every day. And it's really refreshing to see so many parents that showed up tonight. Because it does take a village, and we see that every day. So I'm really happy to be here too.
Any questions for Ms. Ellen?
How can I get your contact information?
I am new to the district and still memorizing my office number, so it is on the website. But my email is just my last name, which is BAUCOM, and then E, like Ellen, and then at santarosa.k12.fl.us. And I come from North Carolina, so I'm still putting the .nc in there, but it's .fl because we're in Florida.
If at any point you forget those references, if you go back to that organizational chart, it'll have each of their names, their office numbers, as well as their secretary's numbers. So if you can't get one, you can get the other. and they'll definitely get in contact with you. Okay. I'm going to have Ms. Ellis switch out and have Ms. Ashley join us as well. We've got Bobby Joe Quano, who oversees our speech language pathologist for the district. So she's our voice.
Communication specialist.
Yes.
I am Bobby Jo Quano. I have currently 42 SLPs in the district with 5 diagnosticians that actually do the testing in the district for all the schools. We provide therapy pre-K through 12. Many schools have at least one, if not more, therapists at the schools. I began in the district in 1994 as a therapist and took over this actual position in October 2014. So I'm still fairly new. No wrinkles yet. Any questions for me about speech language pathologist?
If you ever want any more specific details about the services and such that your student receives in schools, we'll often, refer you to each of those areas of expertise. If we ever have a question about that, we always defer to Bobby Joe as far as looking more closely at services that are offered within your school so that she can ask more specific questions to her diagnosticians or her SLPs. Any questions for Bobby Joe? Let's switch over to Ms. Ashley Flowers, who oversees our gifted program throughout the district.
Good evening, everybody. See a lot of familiar faces here live, which is awesome. Thank you so much for coming out. I think sometimes gifted does get a little bit forgotten in the world of ESE, so thank you for taking your time to come to this. We will continue speaking on different topics that affect gifted students and their families as we progress through these parent cafes. So thank you for coming tonight as we introduce this. Something else that I oversee is part of the parent services team. Under that, we're doing a couple of new things for parent services. First, we are building an app that you will be able to download to your mobile device or to your iPad or whatever you're conveniently using. That will be out fairly quickly, so hopefully by the next time we meet with this parent cafe, you'll be able to download that app. Also, something that we're using is Remind 101. We briefly spoke about the liaisons at your children's schools. So there may be some communication that comes either from the liaison or from your child's secondary gifted teacher through the Remind 101 app. I also am the webmaster, as you heard. So if you have questions or concerns or need help locating things on our ESE website, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at flowersa@santarosa.k12.fl.us. I can help you navigate to whatever you're trying to find on our website. Just to kind of wrap up and bounce some more off of what Miss Anderson was saying, this year we have 3 new initiatives in gifted, one being the high school gifted service that we're providing, the universal screeners, which we are currently going through that process, and the transfer ruling. So if you know somebody who has transferred into this district or your child has recently transferred in, we are in the process of going through all of the paperwork, ensuring that we can get your child the services that they need for gifted.
Any questions for Ms. Ashley or gifted? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
What is the app going to do?
The app will look very similar to our website. It'll have a lot of the same features. Our hope is that you will be able to see more easily the different things that we have going on. So if we have activities where we bridge with community partners, or if we have family cafes coming up, those can be notifications on the app as well as notify you on your mobile device.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So hopefully it should be done within the next week or so.
We
Any other
utilize
questions?
the Remind 101 app. Many of you probably get that, and you get notifications about field trips and updated information about your school based sites, but we wanted to utilize this as a method also to remind you of your upcoming IEP meetings. If there were any cancellations, like here recently, we had the hurricanes that required a lot of shifting and rescheduling of those meetings. So that's just another method that we could contact parents without giving our personal device access, even though some of you may have that as well, but that's a way to kind of give you more communications with your liaisons.
What do we sign up for that Remind 101?
We will probably have that sign up information on our website. We'll also start giving you all kind of like a little card that you'll get during your IEP meetings that will have our website link on there, the information about our parent and comment form, as well as our newest app. So you'll get that. I know we offer that parent communication with each time our procedural rights and safeguards. This will be just a little card that will give you that little blurb and connection to what we have your access to. So that Remind 101 will be going out as well.
Any other questions? Good questions.
Thank you.
Here to my right, I have Miss Elizabeth Toms. She is also new to our department this year. She oversees our inclusion, adaptive PE, as well as our section 504. So Miss Elizabeth.
Hi everyone, I am Elizabeth. I am new to Santa Rosa County. I'm from the north, so I'm really excited to be here, living close to the beach, and excited to be in Santa Rosa County Public Schools. I am the program facilitator for inclusion. So inclusion really is where students with disabilities are learning alongside their peers without disabilities in the general education classroom. And they're going to be receiving specialized instruction and supports from both of those teachers, and I go out and help assist with that program. And that's kindergarten through 12th grade, and there are many students with all different types of disabilities who are serviced in inclusion, and it's actually really exciting that we're at this point in our education where everyone can really be learning together as much as possible. If you have any more specific questions, my email is Tom's, like the shoes. That's my last name. And then, yeah. And my first name's Elizabeth, so it's Tom's E. And then at santarosa.k12.fl.us. And thank you for the nod. And my office phone number, there's a 95% chance that it's 850-853-4251. So, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Elizabeth has been working very closely with school-based administrators as well as teachers and looking at innovative ways to provide instruction to those students as they make those transitions from maybe that self-contained setting to go into that inclusion classroom. She's offered a great deal of support in conjunction with our Fiddlers representative as well as our FINS representative as far as providing a lot of educational and resources and training for those teachers who meet the needs of those students in the inclusion setting as well. So she'll be a key player in bridging that gap as far as that instructional and those resources. So any questions for Elizabeth? Questions? Oh, okay. So here we have Lisa Templeton, who oversees our pre-K program throughout the district.
Hi, I'm Lisa Templeton. I oversee the pre-K programs. We currently have 37 classrooms throughout the district. That includes 15 who are considered CBSA, 1 that is orthopedically impaired, and 3 that are in a charter school. We serve children from ages 3 through 5 and can be continued through their kindergarten year if the team feels that that's a necessary option. We have a variety of disabilities that we provide services for within that pre-K heading, and our goal is always general education kindergarten. We provide all the related services within the classrooms so that we have as little transitions as possible. So that means our therapists all push into the classroom. So our SLPs, OTs, PTs, they all push in and provide services within the classroom environment to a group setting or to individual basis as needed by the children. That, I guess, that's all. My contact information is templetonl@santarosa.k12.fl.us. And my office phone number is 983-5582. If you guys have any questions for pre-K.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Templeton. I'm joined by Jackie Jones, who oversees our sensory impaired programs and everything in between. So, Ms. Jackie.
Okay, I'm Jackie Jones, and I am the program facilitator for sensory impaired, which includes deaf, hard of hearing, and visually impaired and dual sensory impaired. And currently, we serve our students through an itinerant program. We have 4 teachers for the deaf and hard of hearing that go out into the schools and service students. And we have vision impaired, and we have 1 teacher who sees the students across the district. And we have an orientation and mobility specialist that goes out for students that have that specific need. We also have an audiology clinic that I oversee, and that's located at Benny Russell Elementary. And that clinic is open to all students in the district, not just students who are deaf or hard of hearing. So anybody that has a child living in Santa Rosa County may come in for testing, and they can come in for a screening, or they can request a screening through their guidance counselor or their school liaison. And it is open to parents to just call and make the referral themselves. It doesn't have to come through the school. And the contact information for the audiology clinic is 626-3072, and you can call them to make an appointment. Our audiologist is with us 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and our secretary is there every day of the week. So you can reach them at any time to schedule an appointment between 9 and 4 o'clock. And I also have traumatic brain injury, which is a very small population, and assistive technology. So I provide support with assistive technology to all the other programs in our county.
Any questions for Jackie? We have Ms. Linda Andrews, who oversees our transition program. So we have that full continuum of services from pre-K all the way through the age out of 22. So Linda's going to expound on that opportunity, and she works to ensure that your students post-graduation are ready for the workforce. So Ms. Andrews.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Linda Andrews. In the transition programs, I've heard a couple of people making reference to bridging, and transition is the bridge from school to adulthood. And you remember many times throughout growing up that you would be asked, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? And some of us are still trying to figure that out, right? Well, with transition, our plan is for the student during the ages of 14 to 21 is to in an ongoing process to have all stakeholders involved in this transition planning. And this can't happen without the student being involved. They must be a part of that IEP, because we have to consider what are their strengths, what are their preferences and their interests. And based on these age-appropriate ongoing transition assessments, we want to develop annual goals and post-secondary goals that address those strengths, interests, and preferences. And it may be going to college, it may be going to a vocational program, and for our students with more significant cognitive disabilities, their opportunities are, to go into employment. And many of them, oftentimes, they don't think that they're able to, because they've been told for so long that, it's more about what you can't do than what you can do. And our focus in our transition programs for the 18 to 21-year-olds is to show them that you can do. And we're an employment first state, and so let's get even our people with disabilities, young adults, to work. And our transition programs they focus on the independent, or actually preparation for adult living, on-the-job training, work experiences that are non-paid out in the community. So we have lots of partnerships starting at the high school level. 11th and 12th graders that are in the access classes are out working in the community. We have some great business partners, numerous, and we have school-based enterprises that start. Some of our elementary schools have started some of those businesses, going all the way up through age 21. And the agency piece of transition is very vital to the student, especially once they reach the high school age, and especially once they reach the age 22, because we no longer can provide those services once they turn age 22. So who is going to provide the support and the services for the family and for that particular child? And so our hope is that, you know, we want to empower you by informing you and by giving you the tools that you need to be able to empower also your child, for them to take responsibility, and give them as much responsibility as you can at home, in shopping and doing chores around the house. Let them be contributors so that they can be contributing members of society. So I leave you with this question: what will your child do after high school? And it's very important that, you know, you ask those questions in every IEP meeting to ensure that you know what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. So my contact information is andrewslt@santarosa.k12.fl.us, and my phone is 983-5168. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
What if you're during your IEP and in meeting with your school that your child is limited versus saying with their disability they're told that they're only able to do a certain thing, and you, the parent, are fighting for knowing that your child can do a bit more. And they're telling that in society, when your child does graduate from high school, that your child is basically able to do a certain job, whereas you as the parent know that your child can do more when they go out into society, but the school is telling you different.
And that's a very good point. And the parents are the best advocates for their children because they know what's happening at home. You see them in a different environment than the school setting. It is a very different structure. And a lot of times we unfortunately don't have situations where the parent is the best advocate, and that's where you do rely very much on those professional educators. You're hoping that they're guiding you and the child in the right direction towards that independence. And if you feel strongly about something, is about what your child can do, provide evidence of that if you can, or work out a plan with that teacher so that that can be incorporated into the day, into the instruction. That's what I would recommend. And certainly at any point in time, because the transition program falls under every single program that you've heard about tonight. So if you have specific questions or concerns, definitely you start with your ESE liaison, and that ESE liaison at that school can contact me, and I'm happy to be involved in any, IEP meeting.
And as they get older, I know that Ms. Andrews mentioned age 14 on forward, you're going to look at schedules. That's going to be a very important part of that process. So as you're looking at schedules and courses and your elective options, help your student to voice where their interests lie so that we can have them place in appropriate courses that's going to move them closer to meeting that post-secondary goal. So your input is a vital part in that. We try to give parents every opportunity and exposure to that continuum, especially through those transition programs where they have exposure to those skills and reaching independence. So that's going to be important for you all as parents to make that connection with us in the schools as to where those interests are.
And I do want to emphasize to you to go to our website under the transition programs. I've listed our local and state and national resources in regard to transition. So if your child is in access classes, we actually have on there what is called a decision tree, and it outlines for you. It's a chart. It's very linear and it's progressive. and providing you with the details of basic criteria that we use in helping IEP teams make appropriate decisions for what program could possibly be the best one. But the transition assessments in our meetings with our high school people before a student moves on to a transition program is very important. There's plenty of activities that should be built into a student's IEP. It could be as simple as mentoring, shadowing, visiting a post-secondary education institution, and career experiences, career counseling. I mean, the list goes on. So I don't want to take up any more time, but unless there's a question.
At what age do you begin the process of teaching the children, or is it up to the child itself?
Well, you know what? That's a very good question. In that, when does becoming a self-advocate start? At elementary age. That's when it starts. And we have a curriculum for teachers that is free, provided by the state, called Standing Up for Me, and it's basically focusing on self-determination skills. And we encourage every teacher, K through 12, to incorporate that somehow integrate it into their curriculum instruction.
We always emphasize beginning with the end in mind. So as parents, as you begin this process, whether it's your child being identified at the pre-K level and at any level, you want to see that big picture in reaching that milestone of graduation, and specifically what does that mean for your child. So I'm always impressed with our pre-K individuals and making that connection in the high school or secondary person. So I know how vital it is for you all to have those resources at the very beginning of whatever that beginning of that process is for you all, and understanding that we have a standard diploma for every one of our students with exceptionalities. And so that has opened up just a lot of opportunities for our students where we did not always have that available option. So just become more in tune of that continuum for your student and ask any and all questions through that IEP process. And the more that we know that the different areas of questions that you all have, then we can provide those opportunities for resources. So use that IEP meeting as that forum of that discussion so that we know in this type of venue what to bring back to you all as far as that communication and information to you all as well. So last but not least, we have Ms. Tiffany Coleman, who oversees our Access program. She came to our school district last year and literally has hit the ground in full sprint. So Ms. Tiffany Coleman, can you just discuss with us what Access is all about?
Yes, ma'am. As Ms. Ray said, my name is Tiffany Coleman. I'm originally from Santa Rosa County and went and traveled around a bit, and I'm now back home and so excited to be back in this great place and working with everyone here and all the wonderful things that we're doing. So I oversee the Access programs, and the Access programs look at eligibility for students who have significant cognitive disabilities and whether or not a modified curriculum or modified standards would be appropriate for education. So currently in our district we have 32 Access classrooms, but we also look at eligibility for alternate assessment across the social thinking classroom, the CBSA classroom, some of our behavior focused classrooms, as well as the deemed Access classroom. Access is termed Access based off of the access point standards that drive the curriculum and drive the teaching of students who are on those Access standards. The Access standards are in alignment with general education standards that any child receives and helps provide a pathway for learning for students with significant cognitive disabilities. Because there's so many kids on Access in our district, I travel a lot. So if you want to speak to a live person, if you have a question that is burning and you need a live person right then, right there, my recommendation would be to call my secretary, and her number is 983-5169. If you would like to reach me directly, my number is 983-5560. And you can always reach me through email at that wonderful Coleman T at santarosa.k12.fl.us. So.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Any questions for Ms. Coleman? Is there an Ellen Bauckham for middle schools as far as with that MTSS process?
Right now it's Maria Jacobs, and she handles the secondary. She's not here, but she's over there somewhere. She handles the MTSS for middle school, but it's kind of a team approach to that.
Did you all get that there? That we would have our secondary person, Maria Jacobs, to facilitate that MTSS process at that level for both middle and high schools. At this point, I'll bring Ms. Anderson back to the platform to give us some closure and conclude our program for this evening.
Yes, and thank you for being patient with us as we have gone over, but that's a good thing. We've had lots of great questions. We appreciate you being involved in this first one and hope that we will hear back from you again the next time. I have a very special thank you to Mr. Mike Thorpe and his PDC staff here for helping us to go live stream. Our goal overall is if our parents can't come to us, then we want to go to them. And so this is one way of reaching out and making sure that we're touching as many people as possible. I realize with work and kids and household duties and everything else, it gets a little tough to be everywhere at one time. So hopefully this is helping you. If you have questions or comments, suggestions, please go online to our website and fill out the comment form, and that way we will know what you're thinking and feeling and seeing if we can't do something to assist in whatever your needs are. And with that, we will give a closure for tonight. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
If you are here with us tonight, if you would please sign in that so that we know who it's